Hello and welcome to Loving Me, Myself, and Life with me, Jody Misiak. Today I want to share with you something that happened to me yesterday. Now keep in mind, I do record these ahead of time as I get ready for the holiday season and being able to take some time off with my kiddos. Anyways, so yesterday I woke up and I just didn't feel good. Not physically, but mentally. I said good morning to my kiddos and told them to have a great day and that I love them and then, watch them go to school. And then the moment they left, I put the covers over my head in my bed and just was like, it's too much. This world is too much. And I just put the covers over my head. I'm kind of chuckling, but it wasn't funny. I was really just overwhelmed by negativity. I was like, what's the point of getting up? I felt like I was living Groundhog Day. Now, bear with me. This is not going to be a negative episode. I promise you. There is really some goodness here. And I promise you. So hang tight because maybe you can relate to this. So all I did was I just wanted to escape. I wanted to hide from the world, hide from my reality. And I just covered myself up with blankets, my warm, cozy duvet cover, and I fell back asleep. I woke up a couple hours later. I thought originally that maybe just some sleep would do me good, but I still woke up really in a bad mood. Like I just kept thinking about things in my life and saw lack everywhere. I was just so focused on like what was not going right. And I just kept spiralizing into negativity, like one thing after another, after another, after another. And I just kept seeing more things to be negative about. And I just kept going and going. And then eventually I got myself out of bed. I'm like, okay, I would like to get up, go to the washroom, get a glass of water, I needed to do something, even though I didn't want to do anything. So I started my day. I did the routine, tongue scraping, teeth brushing, all the things, face washing, all the things, right? And I slowly went downstairs, got myself a glass of water, vitamins, the works, coffee. And I was feeling a smidgen better, just a smidgen. I'm like, oh, good. I got myself out of bed. So I was like, partly, but my cats were annoying me. I have a cat that eats like a dog. So every time he sees me, he wants to get fed, even though he was fed for the day. And it was just things that normally don't bother me were bothering me a lot. And I just, I looked at the kitchen going, because I always go down and just, if there's a few dirty dishes, I'll just put them in the dishwasher and wipe off the counters and things like that. And I just was like, no, I'm so over this. Like I was just in such a negative state. So everything I saw was negative and heavy and frustrating. And it just made me angrier and angrier and just sadder and sadder and just heavier and heavier. I finally walked into my office and I was like, man, I really don't want to waste this day feeling like this. So I lit my sage stick in my office. I have it on top of the fireplace there. It's my little, my altar. It's my altar. I have crystals and lots of inspiration on there. So I lit my sage stick and I just took a deep breath and I recited something that I learned in yoga teacher training. And it's usually chanted like in singing, but I just said it and I'll say it here if you like. So it's Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And it's may all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. And then I ended it with shanti, 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 which is peace, peace, peace. And I just was like I was in such a negative state that I was like, I finally was like, enough with this. Like, I don't want to feel this way, but I didn't know how else to escape. Like when we are on this negative wheel, it's hard to get out. It's easy to get in, but it's hard to get out of that constant wheel because when we're in that negative place, we just start seeing more negative. And then it just becomes this big snowball effect. So when I stepped in my nice, calm office that I've really have created this beautiful, safe place to create, to inspire and motivate. And like it motivates me, but it's just this place that I created. And recently I've cleaned it out. So it feels really good. Anyway, so I did the saging and I was on myself because I was like, whoa. And I just started doing things that I'm like, okay, life is bigger than me. So I was just trying to say this beautiful phrase that would help me, remind me to think of others. And then after I said that, I moved on to, I have this picture frame on my fireplace as well in my office. And it says, how may I serve? And under it, what would love do? So obviously when I said it out loud, like, how may I serve? I'm like, how can I serve when I feel this way? And it's like, what would love do? And then it reminded me to like love myself a little bit. So slowly I was taking the edge off my negativity, but not enough. So I opened up my computer and I actually put on a TV show. I opened up, yeah, I know. Some people are like working at the desk or not working at the desk, watching TV at the desk. Anyways, I opened up and I just watched some TV. Now, I don't recommend always numbing things, but sometimes when you're spiralizing, or at least in my case, when I was spiralizing, I needed to shut it down. So it's getting out of your own head. Like I just needed enough distraction to like not numb the negativity, kind of just quiet the negativity. Because here's the truth. I was in such a negative spot that I was thinking about all the things I could do. Meditate, yoga, tapping. I was like, I could tap this out right now and I'll feel fine. But I was in such a negative state that I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to feel better. I was so negative that sometimes we're happy feeling negative. And I know that might sound weird, but it's true. Sometimes we're just like, we're in the poor me mode, right? Like I'm like, poor me, make me feel better, but like not doing anything about it. And that's where I was at. And so I had to distract my mind enough to calm it down, to give it a good hug or a good swift kick, I guess. No, I'm kidding. Loving, right? Because we can have these feelings and it's not about beating myself up because I'll get to today, but there was no being upset with myself for showing up like that. I had to honor where I was, but I didn't have to stay there. And I really knew that I did not want to stay there. I did not want to be in that mood by the time my kids got home from school. So I just watched a couple episodes, enough to kind of just quiet the negativity. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of using TV to numb problems because they don't go away. But sometimes it's helpful to switch gears, put music on, whatever works for you personally. For me, it's getting that TV. It shuts down my mind so I can start really having looking at different things, like having a better perspective. There we go. So I watched a couple episodes and then I'm like, I'm going to tap. Like, let's do some tapping. So I finally got to a place where I wasn't constantly looking at negativity, like things negative. Because like it was constant, like everything I looked at, I was just so negative about, just constantly. So just taking myself out of my life and putting it into like some kind of show, it just kind of helped me shift. So then I did tapping. And I was just reminding myself that, we're going to have days like this occasionally. Anyways, it was about honoring where I was at that time. So thankfully, by the time my kids came home, now they did have an event after school, so I had a little bit of extra time. But thankfully, by the time they got home, I was in a good place, which was good because I had to like get my oldest out the door for scouts. So it was like, get them fed and do this and that. That's actually why I was home and not at their event that they had after school. One of us had to stay home and make supper. So, and my husband volunteered to help out with the school. So it was so I was able to find my center. Did I find my joy? Not fully yet, but I found my center where I'm like, okay, come on, Jody, like recenter yourself kind of thing. And so when they got home, I was able to be the loving, supportive mom they needed. And they did have a hard afternoon, so I was really glad that I could be at a way much better place than I was earlier. So I was so grateful for that. And then on top of that, just about, I think, 10 minutes before they were about to head out the door, I got a text letting me know that the meeting got moved to Zoom just because of things happening. And then we had to re-pivot. So normally on nights like this, I actually, if we're running behind, I don't eat. I focus on getting everything ready to go because I'm staying behind and I can eat after. So all of a sudden these plans change and I'm like, oh. So I told my kiddos that they can go and just have some free time while I eat some supper with my husband because he also didn't eat yet. And normally we actually all eat together too. It's just usually twice a week now. Or actually not always, but anyways, last night was one of those times that it just didn't all line up. But normally we try to eat together every night because I know it might not always be that way. So we try our best to eat together. Anyways, but my husband and I ate together. And I said, okay, guys, I'm just going to eat. And then we will pivot and figure out where you can set up for a meeting. Because my kids don't really do Zoom. They're not a big fan of computer interaction. They really like face-to-face. So I was like, okay, well, let's do this. But anyway, so I had to pivot again. Now, if I didn't figure out my day earlier and that negative vibe that I was carrying a good chunk of my day, I would have been, oh my goodness, I would have just been a mess. I would have been so uncentered. I would have been so miserable. But thankfully, I have tools to get me back to a place. And my heart goes out to people that don't have tools. And this is why I do what I do. Because I have a bad day. I had one yesterday. Now, full disclosure, it's tied to my moon cycle and things, my emotions have been a little intense. But anyways, and I've been working under, on things like that. But anyways, that's not what this conversation's about today. The one is that I had a bad day. I'm an empowerment coach, a yoga teacher, and I have years on my self-love journey of taking care of myself and loving myself in a really beautiful way. But I still had a bad day. And it's not about having the bad days. It's about how we work on them or how we handle them and how we get out of them. Because I could have had a day like this years ago and it might have turned into a full-on day or a week, a month. It can drag on if we don't snap ourselves out of it. I'm not even sure what brought on this bad day, but it was a bad day. I'm gonna obviously go in and figure out maybe I'll go deeper on it on my own, but I really wanted to share this today because it's super fresh. So having the tools to get you out of a bad day so it doesn't turn into a bad month, a bad year. And so it was really fun too, because as I went to bed last night, I was really happy again, just at peace and really good. And I grabbed a book that has helped me before and I started reading it again. I have it on audio book as well, and or Audible, and I listen to it quite often. But reading the words with my eyes, it's a different kind of experience. So I'm rereading it now, and it's The Super Attractor by Gabby Bernstein. And I forgot that I'm a super attractor. Now I know that our energy creates what we bring into our life. But when we're having a bad day, that might not be enough. Knowing that's like, well, so what if I'm having a bad day and I'm going to bring all this negativity, and like it's snapping out of it. It's getting out of there. And it really does start with accepting, well, first being aware that you're having a bad day. Awareness is key, because we can have a bad day and we not even notice it, but it's being aware. And then it's accepting that you're having a bad day, and it's going from there. So for me, I had to be like, okay, I'm not feeling good. There's no way I'm going to be able to create from a loving place right now. Like when I ask myself, how may I serve? It's like, how can I serve right now? So it's like, wait a second, like I need to love myself here in this moment and where I'm sitting. So it's accepting. And then it's shifting yourself out of that negativity so you can start using tools. So I want to share my story just a little bit more, and then I can share with you a few things you can do when you find yourself having a bad day. I've already shared a few in here. So with reading The Super Attractor, I'm like, right. Like I read this book. It came out it was September 2019. So just a year before I moved to the coast. I read it and it literally changed my life. And once we moved, I got busy and I was so in love with the place, and just, when you get into a new romance and you just forget about everything in life, that's kind of what happened. I was just so excited, so in love with the move, that I forgot to keep using my toolbox of tools, because life was still happening, but I was in just like la la land of like, bliss, and so happy that I forgot all my tools for stress or just everything. So I'm really excited to get right back to this book. And so I was just like, so I read it, or I started reading. I didn't read the whole thing last night, but I read a few chapters, and I'm going to continue reading it. But I'm just like, right, I need to remember to connect to, this beautiful energy that's around me. And I do occasionally do that, but I need to go deep diving into it. Anyways, so today, let's go 24 hours later. I wake up much better in a new mood, like almost like yesterday didn't happen, except it did. Not going to forget that it didn't happen, but it did happen. But like I said, it doesn't feel like it did. The learning that I'm doing in it, reminding myself that I need to take care of myself and that I'm not doing this life thing alone. I talk about it briefly, but it's, having the universe support me and things like that. So just reminding myself that there's so much bigger things out there, bigger support, more beautiful things. So today when I woke up, I was just, I just felt so good. I was so much happier. I was actually very mindful of not looking at my phone. Or if I did, I knew, I was like, okay, I'm looking at it briefly, stayed away from the news. Like I was very mindful of where my energy was going. And for the first time in a while, I watched this video. It's, I think I mentioned it before on an episode, but I've created a video, and it's like a vision board video. So it has like this song that I love, and it just has pictures to remind me how I want to start my day, how I want my day to feel and be. And it just has some really motivating words I've put on there as well. So I've created this, and for the first time, I think this year, maybe I've watched it once, but I just watched it again today to kind of set my day up for success, to really remind myself why I'm showing up. And then I came downstairs, and it's crumbs on the counter because my family needs to eat in the morning, put the dishes away. But it was this like, it was a gratitude thing. And yes, my one cat was at my heels all morning and things like that. But it was different. It was lighter because I was full of appreciation instead of lack. I was appreciating everything around me instead of looking for what wasn't around me. I was sitting in my office having a coffee before starting to work. I was just sitting on my couch in there with the fireplace on. I'm just looking around and everything I was seeing, I just like loving my office space, loving everything, appreciating everything. And you want to know something? My coffee tasted so good today because I was appreciating everything. Now, it's the same coffee that I had yesterday. It was made the same way, but I was appreciating everything around me so I could see things through love. I could feel things from a place of love, and I could taste things from a place of love. So it's really incredible. So like I said, when you're having a bad day, because we all have them, we all do, and this is why I'm sharing this, and I really did want to share it while it was fresh. So I didn't really put any notes together. It's really from my life that happened now. Because I feel like if I'm having a bad day now and then, maybe you are too. Maybe not, but in case you do. My hope is that you aren't, but I feel like we all have those days now and then. Anyways, so tools. I love tapping. If you don't know what tapping is, it's EFT, emotional freedom technique. It's like acupuncture without the needles. You're hitting points, and you first start with a statement, and that's on your karate point. I have mentioned this before in podcasts as well. I can't remember which episode now though. And then you do different points, and you start with negative, and then you move to positive. If you're new to this world, definitely check out Tapping Solution. They have a lot of free content out there that you can look. Just search Tapping Solution, and that should help you start somewhere. Or there's like a ton of other YouTube videos as well out there in case you want to look somewhere else. It's just it's what's helped me in the past. And meditation, walking. Walking is one of the biggest, most amazing things, especially if the weather is like it is today for me anyways, while I'm recording, the sun shining in abundance. It's cold and crisp, but the sun's out, and it would be a gorgeous, gorgeous day for a walk to kind of shake some cobwebs and things like that. Talking with a friend, that's super, super important. And you can sometimes combine the two, walking and talking. Any form of movement is good because it gets your body moving, and it lifts your spirits. Putting on music that you love. Journaling what you're feeling. Now, like I said earlier though, these tools aren't going to help you if you're not ready to let them help you. Like yesterday, I could have opened up. I was reading a cozy mystery, but I was just so negative that I wouldn't even have enjoyed it. I could have picked up a motivational book, but I just wasn't there yet. So it's shaking yourself out of that negative mode first. And maybe you need a mini pity party. Throw yourself a little party. Feel those feelings. Don't be ashamed or afraid of them. Just don't live there forever. And like I said, I still to this day don't know exactly what went on there. I'm going to deep dive into that later, personally. Do some journaling and be like, what happened? It's like, did I have a crappy night's sleep and I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed? Like, I was just negative. Like, nothing was bothering me, but everything was bothering me. Do you know what I mean? Like, not one thing triggered it. I just felt like, what's the point? And I just woke up really negative. So if that's your case, like, it's being there and loving yourself first. And if you can't love yourself, then wrap yourself in a blanket and just put on some TV, a comedy show, whatever you like, whatever is going to like kind of support you through it. And just don't live there forever though. Like, allow yourself, be like, okay, I'm just going to watch a couple episodes, or maybe it's a movie. I'm going to watch a movie and then I'm going to, step back and see how I'm feeling. But it's mindfully going about it the best you can. Because, like I said, I'm doing this podcast episode the day after so I can remember how crappy I felt so I can be there right along with you. Because today I am not feeling anywhere close to that. But it's allowing yourself to be there when you are feeling it. And I honestly, so here's another tidbit, and I'm sure shared this before when I've had a bad day, or I've been in a mood. I text my husband because we usually touch base right before the kids, before they get home or before one of us goes and gets them. And I texted him and said, I'm really not feeling great today. I'm in a bad mood. And I was like, so I don't really want to talk right now. And then I gave my update in a text message because I was starting to feel better, but I didn't want something to happen where all of a sudden I took my bad day out on him, because it does happen, right? When other people are in our life and we're not feeling good, we can take that bad mood and just throw it somewhere else at somebody else. So I was really mindful of and aware that I did not want to be around anybody else at that moment until I got myself to a better place. Now, at supper time, I did explain to him a little bit how I was feeling during that day, and it felt better. It was nice to talk it out with somebody. So finally, once I broke through that negative energy, that negative, I was just spiralizing out of it. So first it's figuring out, how do you stop that spiraling? And you really got to get out of where you're at. So out of your environment, even just getting out of bed helped me a little bit. And like I mentioned before, if you're like me and you just can't stop thinking negative thoughts, distract yourself with something. Put on a movie or TV show like I mentioned, or whatever you're ready. If you're ready to do tapping, by all means do tapping. I was not there yet. And then eventually when you get to a place where, you might not bite somebody's head off, talk with somebody, share how you're feeling. I was just down and I was just having a blue day, and it was just such a random thing. But maybe yours isn't random, so maybe you already know what's bothering you. And it's talking it out with somebody. So I hope this has helped. And know that when you have a bad day, or if you're having one right now, you're not alone. I have them too. Okay? And it's not about beating yourself up or being like, man, I wish I didn't have a bad day, or wishing it different. It's meeting yourself where you are in that moment, giving yourself a hug. And if you can't meet yourself there, even just wrap yourself in a blanket and get yourself a cup of tea or something, warm and cozy. If you can't love yourself yet, give yourself loving things. Sometimes when it's so heavy, it's hard to do that. It's little steps, little by little. And then do the more things to help you keep in a positive state. So tapping, meditating, moving your body. And even moving your body can help you get out of a negative spin. Now, I am very much a thinker. And this is why at the end of the day, I always sit down with at least one TV show. Because I sit down and I snuggle my cat. I have two cats, but the one likes to eat. The other one loves snuggles and love. He'd rather have that than food. So we have opposites, yin and yang. Anyway, so I sit down for at least one episode, one to snuggle my cat, Skylar. And also so I can sit down and it tells my body and my brain that I'm done for the night. I'm not thinking. I'm not trying to plan or do anymore, because I'm a really detailed oriented, I'm constantly planning, thinking. I'm just constantly there. So when I get in a negative wheel of when I go spiraling out, one of the best ways to knock that out is to forget that I'm there, to put myself into a different world, to kind of just shut that brain off for a moment. so I can breathe and look at things differently. But for others, running, taking a class, like a workout class or anything can work too. It's whatever, you got to find what works for you to cut that negative, like rolling, like spiraling out of control. And maybe it is talking to a friend, but honestly, like where I was yesterday, I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like if I had plans with a friend, they would have been canceled because I knew that I just couldn't be around anybody until I got myself into a slightly better place. Because I was like, when sleeping for 2 extra hours didn't work and I still woke up negative, I'm like, oof, something's going on and I need to figure it out. So be gentle and loving with yourself. And it's about finding out what works for you. But again, it comes down to first being aware that you're in a bad mood and how you react when you're in a bad mood. So I know that I don't do well around others when I'm in a bad mood. You know, the saying, hurt people hurt. Well, if I'm in a bad mood, like I'm all going to be, I'm already cranky, right? And I'm just going to be cranky around people, to be honest. So awareness first. And then it's accepting that you're not happy today or that you're not in a good mood. It's accepting what is, so then you can let that like be and move forward. If you push through or pretend that it's not happening or try to force your way through the negativity, it's usually just met with more negativity or it just feels hard. And when you're already, at least for me yesterday, when I was in that day, everything felt hard. Getting out of bed, brushing my teeth, getting dressed, like all the things felt hard because I was in a negative vibration. But today I did the exact same things and it was easy because it's all perspective. But when you're in those dark feelings, it's hard to see the light. Like honestly, the sun was shining yesterday too. I did take 2 seconds to appreciate it, but today I appreciate it way more because it's all about perspective and how we're feeling. So it's accepting those feelings of how you're feeling in that moment so you can allow that change to happen. Allow new things in. Allow a new perspective. And then start taking little tools to build up the new feelings, the happy, joyful, peaceful, joyful feelings, happy feelings. So I hope this has helped. Listen to this whenever you're having a day or maybe, at any time. And just remember you're not alone on this journey. If you feel that somebody needs to hear this, maybe somebody's been having a long, long time of not having a good day, like maybe a month, a year. Maybe they need to hear this. Share the love. We're all on this journey together. Yes, our journeys look different. We all have different ups and downs. We all have different challenges and struggles. But we are all human beings discovering who we are and trying to find, our path and loving ourselves along the way. Thank you again for being here. Take care and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye for now.